On the U.S. reaction, and now joined by former U.S. Ambassador to Turkey, Mr. Robert Pearson. Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us. Now, I want to continue off where we left off with Ardi Mustafa. How important is it for the U.S. that the Incirlik Air Base remain open?
Well, as you know, the U.S. and Turkey have been cooperating very closely on the use of Incirlik Air Base, and I'm very gratified to just hear your recent report that air operations have resumed. So it is important, and it's very important for the campaign against ISIS or Daesh, and so I'm gratified to hear that news.
Mr. Ambassador, now, what is the U.S., what can it do in terms of the extradition of the cleric that's in self-imposed exile in Pennsylvania?
Well, there is, as I'm sure you know, an extradition treaty between the United States and Turkey. I think it goes back to about 1979, and so the proceedings will go forward pursuant to that treaty. And I'm not going to try to be an extradition expert for you today, but given Secretary Kerry's remarks and given the President's strong support for Turkey's democratically elected government, you can be certain that the United States will cooperate fully in accordance with the provisions of the treaty when there is a Turkish request that has been submitted as suggested, as required by the treaty provisions.
How alarming was it for the U.S. that a coup failed nonetheless, but that you had a coup in NATO's second biggest army?
Well, I think it was a tremendous shock. I think from the time I was there and for years before, there was a conclusion that the coups were a thing of the past. And so I think for all Americans, it was a shock that we never would have expected.